Depending on the type of output that function handler sends, you may need to change the HTTP type. For example, if you send any kind of string output by default, it's interpreted as HTML, but you may actually want to interpret it as JSON or even an image or a PDF. So let's say we have a file, something like a download.pdf, and we display it using function handler. So we use, for example, gramex.cache.open, which opens a file only once unless it's changed, and then set its type to bin and render its output. This by default will be rendered as plain text. And let's take a look at how this works. I'm going to go to the IDE and take this PDF file that we have, add it to the list of files. So now you see that the contents are actually kind of binary. We aren't going to look at the contents of the file, but we want it to be downloaded as a PDF. So let's go back to function handler and serve this. Of course, file handler would automatically take care of it. But this is an exercise to show you how function handler's HTTP headers work. So let's add a new function handler and we'll call it /pdf. This will have gramex.cache.open of the file name, which was guide.pdf, which we'll render as a binary file. Right. So let's save this. The URL is /pdf. We'll launch the application, go to /pdf, and you see that it's rendering this as a string. Now, if we want it rendered as a PDF file, then in the header section, we have to add a content type application /pdf. There are a couple of ways you can do this. The first is, I'm going to copy it and take the PDF, go to the headers section, and just add content-type : application /pdf and save it. The second way is to add this to the gramex.yaml configuration. So in gramex.yaml, where we have, let's see, this was called /pdf. Yeah, in PDF, we can under quarks add a header section. Under quarks, we can add a header section that has the same content type application /pdf. Now, irrespective of which way we've done it, if we now go back to this URL and reload it, it gets rendered as a PDF file and shown in the browser. Now, what if I want this to be downloaded instead of displayed in the browser? That too is possible using the HTTP headers. We can add a content disposition as an attachment with a specific file name. We can put in any file name irrespective of what the original file name was. Out here, the file name by default is simply PDF because that's the URL. But we can specify whatever PDF file name we want when we ask it to download. So let's do that. We'll go to the microservices, out here, and we'll select /pdf. In the headers, we'll add a new header, content disposition attachment, and we'll call it guide.pdf and save it. Now, let's open this in a new page. What this does is downloads a guide.pdf instead of displaying it on the screen because of this HTTP header. This isn't the only way you can render the HTTP headers. This works perfectly fine if you know what the type of the file is. But sometimes you may not, and you may want it to be generated dynamically. So in that case, within your function handler, you can use handler.setHeader of content type, which is the key, and then the value. And this value could be dynamic. If you're serving a PDF file, set it to application /pdf. If you're serving an let's say a PNG image, then set it to image /png. And you can get a list of the common MIME types from MD and docs, which gives you a good sense of, for a given extension, say .gif file, you specify image.gif, or for a JPEG file, you specify image/JPEG, and so on. What this allows you to do is serve any kind of file. It doesn't matter what the file type is, and have it appear exactly the way you intended it to be.